But it's great to be here today to tell you about the panel, the Nordic panel, and what our plans are. We do have some significant big plans for the Nordic countries when it comes to a common bioeconomy policy. So why do we have a panel, a Nordic Bioeconomy panel? It all started with NordBio, that's why we are here. And in the original mandate of NordBio, it was decided to establish a Nordic policy and strategy forum for the Nordic bioeconomy, which is the Nordic Bioeconomy panel. And it was initiated or set up by the Ministers for Cooperation in May 2015. And the panel is appointed for 2 years until the end of 2017 with the possibility of an extension. And it's funded by the Icelandic chairmanship. So we are hoping that the establishment of a Nordic bioeconomy panel will stimulate and coordinate the Nordic cooperation on the bioeconomy policy area, as well as expanding the international cooperation on the bioeconomy. And the work of the panel also needs to be seen in context with the work of other relevant bioeconomy policy advisory bodies inside and outside of the Nordic region. Now, our main jobs are to draw up proposals for a Nordic strategy for the bioeconomy. We are asked to outline options and practical measures to promote sustainable bioeconomies and coordinate Nordic cooperation. And at the end, we will deliver a proposal for a Nordic bioeconomy strategy to the ministers of Council of Fisheries, Agriculture, Food and Forestry. And then the ministers will hold its annual meeting in June next year. So they'll have a draft by then to review. But before that, the committees of the senior officials from the different sectors of the Ministry Council will have to discuss a strategy proposal in their meetings to ensure alignment with the official position of the individual Nordic countries, because they have their own agendas and policies. So our role is also to promote the Nordic strategy, to have an influence on political decisions in the Nordic countries in the years to come. And I will actually give you a little bit more detail on our mandate and action plan in a few minutes. And I apologize for that. I was missing a slide. So this is the group. We are a diverse group of people from industry, from academia, from government. We have representatives from each of the Nordic countries, and then we have also people sitting in that are part of the European bioeconomy panel, as well as many different observers that we actually invite to the Nordic bioeconomy panel. So it's a good, diverse group of people that have a very active dialogue and very strong opinions on how we develop our bioeconomy. So the bioeconomy, as we know, offers tremendous opportunities for accelerating sustainable growth and development in the Nordic countries. And it's very complex, as you know, and it cuts across a great number of different sectors. And I particularly like the definition of the German Bioeconomy Council, which says that the bioeconomy uses new scientific knowledge and emerging technologies for the development of bio-based processes and the transformation of natural resources into sustainable products and services. I think it kind of sums it up really well. And we're dealing with so many different resources. We have farmland, we have the ocean, we have the freshwater, we have the wilderness and the forest. And to make it all happen, we need to, of course, invest in human capital and work together as a region that has a lot in common. So by 2030, we will need 50% more food in the world, 45% more energy, and 30% more water. And the solution to that, of course, is bioeconomy and working together and having a strong policy. So the bioeconomy itself is built on two premises, really. One is that the current biomass that we have is being underexploited. There are inefficient uses of waste streams or side streams. Secondly, the biomass potential can be significantly upgraded by increasing the current yields, by closing the yield gaps, increasing productive areas, introducing new or improved species, raw materials, new and improved extraction methods and processing technologies. And there's really no more business as usual when it comes to the new bioeconomy, because we need new approaches, new knowledge, and of course research and innovation. And in the Nordic countries, we have a tall order. Big order. You know, we're aiming at many different things. We want to increase food security. We want to manage our resources sustainably. We want to reduce waste. We want to reduce dependency on non-renewable resources, the fossil fuels. We want to tackle climate change. We want to improve the health and well-being of our citizens. We want to create jobs, economic growth. We want to maintain, or even better, improve our competitiveness as a region. we want to develop new, sustainable, profitable products, services, and new markets, and we also want to invest in research and innovation. So it's a tall order. There's a lot we have to do. And looking at the research and innovation, we've actually had a lot of investment already in research and innovation. If you look at the R&D investment that's been activated from 2012 to 2016 in the Nordic bioeconomy through various different programs, we've actually put in about 43 million euros through various programs. But we need much more. We need to attract private investment into the bioeconomy, and we need to get more industry involvement. That's absolutely critical to move the bioeconomy. And we can do that, for example, through private-public partnerships in the bioeconomy. So back to the panel. The basis of the panel really lies in the Nordic Bioeconomy initiatives, which reads that it should include a Nordic dialogue on national Nordic and European priorities. It should include a thematic workshops and seminars, which will help the various stakeholders prioritize and to identify Nordic added value and Nordic potential. And the aim of the initiative is really sustainable production and use of natural resources, a cross-sectorial and systematic approach with a basis in the circular economy. So these are really the hallmarks of the Nordic Council of Ministers initiatives within the bioeconomy. So as a panel, we're asked to do quite a few things. We have a mandate. We're asked to contribute to a sustainable transformation towards the bioeconomy in the Nordic countries and to stimulate innovation in Nordic countries, to explore and expose the potential of the Nordic region to take a global lead in the field of sustainable production and utilization of bioresources, with the purpose of enhancing both the competitiveness and sustainability in the Nordic countries. And so how can we do this? We think we can do this we think this can happen through a joint Nordic bioeconomy strategy, which we're asked to actually put together, by including new cross-sectorial knowledge and by contributing to the Nordic countries and relevant Nordic and international forums regarding innovative thinking and solutions to the challenges the countries are facing in relation to the bioeconomy and the green and the blue transition. So I mentioned before, the bioeconomy is very complex, and here in Scandinavia we have many different sectors we have to keep in mind. We have the forestry sector, we have the agriculture, fisheries, aquaculture, we have hunting and capture, which we sometimes forget to in the bioeconomy, food production industry and wood production industry. We have to take all of these into account when we're developing our strategy. And it's important, as a chair of the panel, I think it's very important that we understand each sector, what's important for each sector. We need to communicate that between the sectors, and then how they can work together, and how we also work with other sectors, like the IT sector, health, and so forth. Now, I want to give you a little bit more detail about our main tasks, because we have a very detailed mandate. The first task is we actually have a project plan which is built on 4 pillars that link together the different tasks of the mandates. First of all, we're asked to compose the joint Nordic strategy in the field of bioeconomy, which contributes to a sustainable transformation towards the bioeconomy in the Nordic countries using a cross-sectorial approach. And the strategy is also aimed to influence the international and European agenda on the bioeconomy and support the Nordic region as a global frontrunner within sustainable and circular economy. But when we do this, we have to do it in close collaboration with the other national panels, and we have to also look at the national bioeconomy initiatives in each country. The strategy also must include initiatives in the areas I mentioned before: agriculture, forestry, fisheries, capture and hunting, manufacture, consumption, for example. And it will be built on the experiences from the existing Nordic national bioeconomy strategies, projects, and best practices, with the aim to build a platform for accelerating the ongoing development and explore further potentials. And we hope to launch this in the strategy in 2017, in autumn 2017. And we don't have a specific occasion yet, but we will also, in conjunction with that, go on a roadshow with the panel members to ensure awareness and publicity of the strategy to all the Nordic countries. Now, the second task is gather what we call a best cases catalog of the Nordic bioeconomy initiatives. And these are really concrete examples of success stories in the bioeconomy. Storytelling was mentioned before. That's critical that we get the story out, what we're doing well in the bioeconomy, and we do it through cases. And this is actually our it's a prioritized task for the panel. It's our first task because composing a new Nordic strategy on the bioeconomy is best done by generating knowledge about the many excellent and inspirational cases that we have in the Nordic countries. And I'll tell you a bit more about that in the next couple of slides. And then we have networking. It's a very important role of the panel because we want to ensure a transparent and inclusive process and also include a dialogue on national Nordic and European priorities. And therefore we invite people to join the panel meetings. And we will also attend relevant conferences and meetings to extend the network relevant to the Nordic bioeconomy. And next January, we're planning on holding a stakeholder workshop with probably about 50 or more stakeholders to prioritize and identify Nordic added value and Nordic potential and provide insights and input to the strategy. And then we have an outreach strategy. This is important to influence national and local policies in the Nordic countries, as well as contribute to a sustainable development of the bioeconomy on an international scale. So the Secretariat is helping us putting that together, a communication strategy. Because we want to reach out to everybody, to the public, to the companies, to academia. Very importantly, we want to reach out to the policymakers because we want the strategy to be put into action. We want more than just a paper strategy. So the best cases, I put best in like this because all the cases are excellent in the bioeconomy. What we did, we developed a template for what we call the best bioeconomy cases, which enables the panel to benchmark the cases and will also enable us to showcase the cases better. And we actually received over 30 submissions from the Nordic countries. And what we're trying to do now is both qualitatively and quantitatively measure the cases and their impact, and we think this is important. So we have a selection criteria here, which we're using, but it's important to note that we're not grading the cases. We're not picking the top 5 cases or top 10 cases. These are all excellent cases. So we actually met a couple of days ago, the panel went through the cases, and now working through how to best present them, which we hope to do at the stakeholder conference in January 2017. And then we'll publish it sometime in the spring, detailed information about the cases based on these criteria. But I also want to mention that NordRegio has done a really good job, and they came out with a book on 50 excellent cases, inspirational cases in the bioeconomy in all the Nordic countries. And this is a really good read if you want to look at what's happening in the bioeconomy in a succinct way. Each case is 2 pages, has graphics and things. So you can go to NordRegio and get the PDF file. I'd highly recommend it. So that's about the panel, but I want to tell you a little bit about what's happening in each of the Nordic countries, because we are actually approaching the bioeconomy very differently, which makes sense. We have different resources, we have different strengths, and so forth. And we're also collaborating greatly with other countries in the Baltic Sea region. So Finland has a bioeconomy strategy that came out as a governmental resolution in 2014. And they've done an excellent job in Finland, and they've set the course for low carbon and resource-efficient society and a sustainable society. And the bioeconomy plays a key role in achieving those targets. So the strategic goals of the Finnish bioeconomy strategy are a competitive operating environment for the bioeconomy, new business from the bioeconomy, very important, a strong bioeconomy competence base, and accessibility and sustainability of biomasses. And they have very big objectives, impressive objectives. They want to push the bioeconomy output to 100 billion euros by 2025 and create 100,000 new jobs in the bioeconomy. Excellent, and I hope they can do that and even better. The government's objective in Finland is to put the Finnish bioeconomy on a sustainable growth track, improve employment, as well as ensure the necessary funding for public services and social security. And they have actually 5 strategic priorities. One is titled Bioeconomy and Clean Solutions. And the government actually decided to make a one-off appropriation of 1 billion euros for key projects, and 300 million of that is actually allocated to the bioeconomy in Finland. And then they have an action plan put forth by the government for the implementation of the key projects, which is very important, like I said. We need more than a strategy. We need some actions, an action plan to actually put it in, put the bioeconomy in motion. The key projects are carbon-free, clean, renewable energy, new forest products. They're obviously very strong in forestry in Finland, circular economy and waterways, food production and the blue bioeconomy, and then a nature policy, including actually 12 other activities. And the government in Finland has also decided to evaluate the achievements of the bioeconomy strategy, which is interesting. They want to make sure it's actually happening, and to update the strategy after evaluating the achievements. And I'm told the evaluation report will be published actually this fall, and then they will maybe update the strategy in spring 2017. And in terms of industries in Finland, the forestry industry have made big investments, huge investments in biorefineries, where smart use of biomass and side streams have a key role. But the blue bioeconomy is also a growing sector in Finland, an important sector, and has a close connection to the circular economy and nutrients recycling. So in Finland, the blue bioeconomy, for example, better water quality of the Baltic Sea is the main target, whereas in Iceland, the blue bioeconomy may mean something different, like sustainable fisheries. So then we go to Denmark. They have an active and large national bioeconomy panel, which has actually 26 people responsible for making an overarching strategy for the development of the bioeconomy in Finland. And what they're asked to do is draw attention to opportunities for specific measures in promotion of the bioeconomy. And this includes agriculture to fisheries, processing to consumption, and should foster a sustainable bioeconomy in which resources and products are to a much greater extent than today used for the benefit of the environment, climate growth, and employment. And they have been operating now for about 2 years, and they have formulated a series of strategy, policy, and recommendations. So Denmark actually doesn't have a formal bioeconomy strategy, but they have this very active panel. And the recommendations have been in how to develop the bioeconomy in Denmark through yellow biorefineries, green biorefineries, blue biorefineries, and also waste biorefineries. There's a big emphasis on biorefineries in Denmark. And when it comes to research, the Innovation Fund Denmark has given a very high priority to fund public-private partnerships in bioeconomy research and innovation activities. And they actually support annually early-stage investments in Danish companies totaling over 200 million euros. And in the fall of 2016, right now, the fund started a process of formulating a new strategy for research and innovation in the bioresource area, and they should come out with a white paper actually very, very soon. They also have a new bioresource strategy within the Innovation Fund Denmark in the process to be completed at the end of this year. And one example of a major public bioeconomy research program funded by Innovation Fund Denmark is the BioValue Consortium in Denmark, which is a 100 million Danish krona consortium. And the private sector has done tremendous things also in Denmark. They have significant bioeconomy research and development activities. Denmark, as we know, is a global leader when it comes to biological production and commercialization of enzymes and ingredients. So there's been a lot of investment there. Also, biorefineries connected to side streams of food processing. There's, for example, examples of biorefineries in Denmark is the Mabjerg Energy Center, which is under establishment. They have a very advanced water treatment plant, the Billund Biorefinery established, and then private companies like Arla, Danish Crown Ingredients, and KMC, which is a potato processing ingredient. They've all developed large advanced biorefineries. So there's a lot going on in Denmark. In Sweden, there's currently no national bio-based economy strategy or a panel, but there's still a lot going on in Sweden. They actually came up with a national research and innovation strategy for a bio-based economy in 2012, among the first countries actually to do so. And this introduced many research and innovation projects, and together with the large funding for research on forest biomass in the research bill for 2013 and 2016, it actually paved the way for the bioeconomy in Sweden. And in the upcoming research bill in Sweden for 2017 and 2020, which is published next month, research and innovation for a bioeconomy is highly prioritized in Sweden. And in addition to innovation and research strategies, a number of governmental agencies in Sweden are supporting bioeconomy development strongly. Now, the research and innovation strategy in Sweden, it emphasizes that Sweden, in comparison to many other countries, has good preconditions given by natural geographic conditions, traditional industry, and infrastructure for being able to convert to bio-based economy. And they want to bring biomaterials also into the more traditional sectors like the automobile, motor industry sector and construction sector and the chemical industry. It's a big push for that in Sweden. So in June 2016, the Prime Minister's Innovation Council in Sweden, they decided to launch 5 public-private cooperation programs, and one of them is circular and bio-based economy, solely devoted to the bioeconomy. And there are many excellent research and innovation projects ongoing in Sweden. For example, we have one called Bioinnovation, which is a public-private partnership with over 60 partners. Budget is around 11 million euros. And another example is Processum, a leading biorefinery initiative, both nationally and internationally. And so while Sweden doesn't have a national strategy or a panel, actually the regions have been instrumental, and they actually have their own bioeconomy panels, and they have their own strategy, so they do it more on a regional level. And there's also a network between those regions, so they communicate. So currently there's a boom in the bioeconomy in Sweden. In Norway, it's taking some time to finalize the national strategy in Norway, in part because there are many actors involved. There are actually 8 ministries involved in putting the strategy together. But I'm happy to report that the strategy will actually be launched this month, I'm told, a Norwegian strategy. It has a strong political focus on a transition from a fossil fuel-based economy, of course, to the green bio-based economy, and it has 4 major long-term focus areas. One is cross-sectorial collaboration, then developing and securing markets for renewable bio-based products, efficient and profitable use of renewable biological resources, and sustainable production and harvest of renewable resources. And the government in Norway has 3 main principles in this context. First one is that food is priority 1. Population food needs is priority 1. And the resources are to be used and reused as efficiently as possible, and the resources are to be utilized as profitable as possible. So I like these three principles. And the national strategy will have a strong focus on value creation and how to raise competitiveness of the Norwegian industries. Sustainable forestry will be an important factor in Norway when it comes to bioeconomy in the future. And it's expected that biorefineries based on logs from Norwegian forests will contribute heavily to the bio-based economy. They also want know-how and knowledge to be transformed from the petroleum-based industry into the more bio-based industry. For example, production of bioenergy, biocoal, for example. And Norway, as I'm sure all of us know, is one of actually the second largest fish exporter after China. So the blue bioeconomy will have a very strong focus in Norway. And then biogas is another field in Norway which already has small and large scale facilities and expected to create new commercial opportunities. So when it comes to funding bioeconomy in Norway, there are many efforts to support R&D. For example, the Norwegian Research Council implemented a program called BioNer in 2012. And that's a research program on sustainable innovation in food and bio-based industries. And it's a user-oriented program, and it focuses on continuous learning to solve challenges through financing research and innovation, promoting the bioeconomy. And then Innovation Norway has also implemented a number of efforts to accelerate the bioeconomy. And both the Research Council and Innovation Norway also support the development of the bioeconomy at the local and regional level through what they call Norwegian innovation clusters. They have a program of clusters. And then last year, they actually established NordBio, which is the Norwegian Institute of Bioeconomy Research, which is one of its largest institutes in Norway. Now, moving on to Iceland. In 2015, the Icelandic government asked the Minister of Fisheries and Agriculture then to set a bioeconomy strategy for Iceland. And the aim of this work was to promote sustainable development in Icelandic industries based on using biological resources in collaboration with the more traditional industries, such as fisheries, agriculture, and food processing. And there was a special task force that was put together to do this work, and the work was coordinated by Matís. But the process itself included a very broad and extensive consultation with many different stakeholders connected to the bioeconomy, which resulted in a policy which is now ready to be launched. But we haven't officially launched a strategy, but it is ready. And the picture here actually shows the main themes of the strategy. And you can go interactively into each of these boxes, and you can click and get more information on the strategy. But basically, we're emphasizing the blue bioeconomy, Icelandic priorities and strength, international collaborations and new markets, underutilized resources and interdisciplinary opportunities within the underutilized resources, technical development and build-up of human resources, regional development and strong infrastructures, and then finally public and private investments. So those are the 6 main headings of our strategy. And it aims at identifying opportunities for increased capital gain within our industries, and then how support can be given to and develop the industries and open up new markets, how to better utilize our resources while also taking into account the conservation of nature and minimize waste of natural resources, and then how underused resources can be made better use of. And the strategy really takes into account the unique position of Iceland with respect to its geographical position and also our good reputation in utilizing our rich fishing grounds in a sustainable way and developing an effective and highly technological fishing industry. So, as you can understand, the strategy has a strong blue bioeconomy component, and it should help promote Iceland taking a leading role in the blue bioeconomy of the sea in the international forum. So when we prepared it, we took other Nordic strategies into consideration, and the experiences and knowledge gained while carrying out the NordBio program has also been taken into account, as well as policy papers made by the Icelandic Science and Technology Policy Council. So quite a bit of work went into the strategy. Now, I want to mention also that I didn't mention Greenland, I didn't mention the Faroes, because they don't have their own strategies, but what we have something called the West Nordic Panel. And the purpose of the West Nordic Panel, which is Iceland, Faroes, and Greenland coming together, is to identify common issues of importance for the West Nordic region. We want to identify opportunities, advise industry, governments, and the public, as well as promote the common issues and policies in our countries, because we share a lot of commonalities, those 3 countries. So the goal with the panel is to come up with a sound strategy for the West Nordic region in order to maintain and strengthen its bioeconomy, as well as communicate the strategy. And the panel is sponsored by NORA, and the members are appointed by the Ministry of Industries and Innovation in Iceland, Ministry of Fisheries in the Faroes, and Fisheries, Hunting and Agriculture in Greenland. And the themes are really the blue bioeconomy, underutilized resources and new opportunities, rural development and infrastructure to support innovation, opportunities across sectors, how do we increase food security, and how do we create synergies between West Nordic and international research funding, and then tools to stimulate funding for new bioeconomy industries. And this is all done in collaboration with the other national panels and Nordic panels. And finally, I want to mention also, or briefly mention, the Baltic Sea Region Bioeconomy Councils. So we have a lot of panels, we have a lot of groups coming together talking about the bioeconomy. And this is composed of 16 leaders in development and implementation of enabling bioeconomy policies and initiatives in the Baltic Sea region, but it includes more countries. So the Nordic Council of Ministers with the BSR Bioeconomy Council supports the macro region and the stakeholders at local and national macro-regional levels to speed up the transition towards the bioeconomy. And members come from Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Germany, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, Poland, Sweden, and also the EC. And the council meets about twice a year. So there's a lot going on. Okay, but my final message is that it's great to have all the strategies, but we have to make sure we put the strategies into action, and it's important to influence the policymakers, and we have to communicate our successes in the bioeconomy and really communicate to people what the bioeconomy is all about. Because if I ask my kids what it is, they have no idea, even after I explain it to them. So we need to be better at explaining what it is, and that's also a key to attract the investors. We have to measure it, we have to map it, we have to show them the numbers and show them the opportunities. So another key, get the industry involved, get the investors involved, and grow the bioeconomy. So, coffee break. Thank you very much.